Today is going to be a really exciting day. I'm taking my dad's 64 Oldsmobile Cutlass convertible to finally get aligned after installing all of QA1's suspension components, and I was very surprised at the quality of QA1's kit. The packaging, the install, as well as the kit's ability to be backwards compatible with the factory suspension. Most companies don't do that. You have to buy the full kit, or you just have to keep your factory suspension. With QA1's kit, you could buy the coilovers, use it with all your factory suspension, buy a lower control arm, and piece the kit together if you don't have the funds to buy the full kit. I do recommend buying the full kit just because of how drastically it changes the ride and the quality of the suspension. But if you don't have the funds for that, you can piece it together, which is perfectly fine. I will put a link in the description for the kit I used on my dad's car, and I cannot wait to get this aligned so I can actually take this for kind of like a little rip, kind of a little drive. My dad really babies the car because it was my grandfather's car, now it's his car, and eventually it will be my car. Hopefully he's not mad because I put all aftermarket suspension on. The steering is pretty sloppy, but she runs great. Just cruising. Look at that slop. Got the tack down there, 4-speed. Now that the wheel's off, you can kind of see what's going on under here, what we're working with. You can see the upper control arm. This bushing looks like it's not too bad. Looks like some of the grease is coming out, but the bottom bushing right here on the lower control arm has definitely started to deteriorate. You can see that the grease has started to come out. And that's probably where we're getting some of our slop. Also, the steering bushing, I'm probably gonna end up having to, I don't think it comes with a kit, so I'll have to get all the stuff to redo the steering. But you can see this bushing is really worn. Grease is coming out of it, the boot's torn, and it looks really old. So I'm guessing what we need to do with this as well after all the suspension is aligned is get all new steering for it. Brake line right here was a little bit moist when I first pulled it in and put it on the lift. I'm gonna have to order 2 new brake lines for the driver's front and the passenger front. I'll look at the rear ones. I haven't looked at those yet, but if they look the same, I'll just get all 4 new brake lines. Oh man, this stuff is packaged so nice. Packaged in there so good, you're not even gonna get it out. That's how you get them out. It comes with all the brand new hardware, so you don't have to reuse all your old bolts. Each bag of hardware for each side is in individual bags. This makes it really nice and easy because then you just kind of, it's not that difficult, but it just makes it, it's just something that is nice because you don't have to sort through a bunch of bolts, you know which side goes to which. Everything's labeled. This one shows driver left. It's very convenient. That looks good. Definitely make sure you have the spring on tension because it's a big spring. Ooh, look how greasy this thing is. Rubber bushings have definitely seen better days. This one back here looks like it's not even aligned anymore. And it's all smashed out. Like, it's crazy how bad that is. Nice to upgrade from this to that right there. That's Such a big improvement. Tried to install the driver's side lower control arm and I was having nothing but issues getting it to go into the lower control arm mounts on the frame. So I noticed this crack right here when I pulled the factory lower control arm off. I really didn't think much of it, but once the QA1 lower control arm wouldn't fit into the mount, I then investigated a little bit more and noticed a crack here and a crack here. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm going to have to replace this mount right here with a brand new one. They actually make repops for a 72 Chevelle.
Hell yeah!
Oh wow, it's so nice. Ooh, look at that. Really happy that I took the time to replace the lower mounts because these things were completely just mangled. This driver's side one more than the passenger side. I didn't have a disc brake conversion for this thing. So, and the disc brake conversions don't really work with 14-inch wheels. So maybe later on down the road, I may end up putting a disc brake conversion on here. Oh, look at these. These things are beefy. she slammed. I'm gonna go slow. And I need to build a ramp truck because driving unaligned cars places to alignment shops is definitely sketchy. Just got over here, let them know I was here, and it's probably gonna be about 10 minutes, and then hopefully it's less than an hour because it's supposed to snow by 6. But she was kind of sketchy driving her over here, all unaligned, but the rear is a solid axle, so there's not too much you can do with that. Man, you can see that QA1 right there on the trailing arms. So the alignment's done. Everything looks like it came out pretty nice. Steering's still kind of loose. I think it's all that old tie rods and ends and stuff that were just kind of really looked worn out. But I mean, she feels great. The mirror's kind of off. I need to adjust the mirror. I think they moved it. She's still kind of, she feels great. I mean, the steering is kind of off, like not off, but the steering's kind of still just like sloppy, but if you're not steering it, it feels really nice. And the brakes need to, you know, there's something needs to happen with the brakes. Man, it's nice that this whole thing is like a window. You literally have like no blind spots in this car. Crazy how good this thing corners now. I'm just ripping. It's like driving a newer car, but it's an old, like super old car. Like it's a 64. All right, just pulling into my dad's. Here he comes. What do you think he's gonna say?
Oh yeah, it looks a little lower.
What do you think?
It's great. Well, I'm gonna have to jack it up and take it apart.
So you're gonna have to,
or you know, take the wheels off to look at it.
You're gonna have to figure out the dampening. I think it's a little bit too stiff for you, but
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna be road racing it, so I'll probably soften it up some, and then I can mess with it.
yeah, you just turn the knobs. They're really easy.
Oh, it's lower.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Oh yeah, that's a big old sway bar.
Well, there's a big one in the rear now, and those big trailing arms.
Wow. Did it drive good?
Yeah, other than the, like, as long as you're not trying to steer it, you just tell how loose the steering is because they have these new things that to adjust it, but all the arms, all the ball joints and stuff in them are all worn out.
You mean my ball joints?
Yeah, on the steering stuff.
Yeah, the tie rod ends and stuff?
Yeah, the tie rod ends and then the stuff that goes to the pitman arm and all that.
Oh, so I probably just need to get new ones of those?
Mm-hmm.
That sway bar is better. I can jack it up easier.
Yeah, you could jack it up easier,
well,
and
the
then
stock one was kind of, you know, in the way.
Yep.
And I used to have to get a little block to put under there so it would go up and not catch the stock.
Oh, you see these the big trailing arms? You see how beefy those things are?
I am. Did you put those little things that bolt on from there to there or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, all that does is it just reinforces that piece of the frame. And you see those mounts that I put in? Or those new lower control arm? You can't, I don't think you can see them from the top.
What?
The lower control arm mounts, the ones that were all messed up.
Oh no.
Yeah, see how much better it is now? See, there's like 5 shims here and 6 shims back there.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
And now it's almost the same on both sides because I think there's only 1 shim on each one of the...
Oh yeah.
So now it's not all messed
Oh
up.
no, there's 2 there, and then what? 2 and none.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look at the shocks. I'll probably have to jack it up and take the wheels off.
Yeah, to adjust the front dampening, you have to pull the front wheels.
Yeah, well that's okay. I wanted to jack it up so I can look at it anyway and check out the shocks and stuff. You have to squeeze my exhaust?
No, that's how it was.
Was it? Okay, well it's been a long time. I didn't remember. Oh, and that bracket you had to put on.
Yeah, on both sides there.
Okay, uh-huh. Suspension on this.
Well, I think it's because you can adjust the compression and the rebound.
Yeah.
So it's not because you have it so soft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just before, even the stock stuff was a lot softer. Well, that's why I thought I'd just start out with the lower and then just slowly go up and keep checking it out to see what kind of works the best. It's a big improvement from the stock suspension, really.
Yeah.
As far as, especially on this road.
Yeah, this is awful.
Well, that's why this is where I always bring the Ducati to test the suspension, depending on how I want to set it.
Yeah.
Just because that, it's so kind of rough. I gotta take all this apart so I can get to the wiring up behind the inner fender well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to pull that all off anyway, and then I still needed to try to align this because I kind of just put it together and crudely aligned it.
Yeah.
When it was all, when it was all apart when I got it.
So what do you think of your new suspension?
I like it. It's excellent. Yeah, it looks good, and it drives much better,
Yeah, it actually was surprising that it went over all those bumps nice.
Yeah, well, that's why I went that way, because...
Especially with how much stiffer it is.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, that's what I was worried. I was going, God, is this even going to move? But the old ones were, the front wasn't like the back. You could go and it would be all kind of spongy.
Mm-hmm.
And the front was a little better, but still not, it was more like a Cadillac, like Oldsmobile.